Hey guys, welcome back to Financial Markets. Hope you're all well. So I just come back from a business trip, and it was really an interesting one because I spent time in India, and the reason for doing that is because at the moment I'm in search, just like everybody is across the world, in search for alpha. The job is to find places, find regions, find companies in which I can make huge returns on, and naturally because as you know, in the industry, you make 10%, 20% returns. Huge, it's great. As a retail investor, that's also good. But naturally, for people out there, as I'm sure you are one of them, that you might have a couple of grand, 10 grand, and you want to actually make substantial returns by not just 10, 20% a year, but you want to make, in say 10 years, you want to get 10x return, which is not actually impossible. You can do that. But the idea is you've got to find companies and find sectors that are actually at the early stages of their sort of growth period. In which case, that if you can get it now, it could give you good exposure and grow good money in the future. Because obviously, as I know with retail investors, you are looking to get a lot more capital. For if someone's got £1,000,000, 10% return is pretty good. You get 100k. But if you've got 10k, 10% is just one grand a year, which obviously would make a difference, but it wouldn't make you a substantial difference in terms of your household expenses and expenditure. Anyway, so speaking of that, so when I went to India, the good thing to see there is the amount of exposure and the amount of how much India is growing is huge, but the amount of is still behind from Western countries is still huge. So the beauty that you see there is it makes you realize that, look, being in a Western country, you're actually getting an edge. You're actually getting inside information, edge, whatever you want to call it, in a sense of being ahead of the market. And the reason why is because, one, India is growing rapidly, but it's still far behind the Western countries. So it's a good way to compare what's happening in your country or something happening in UK, in the US, and what's happening in India. And then you know that it will eventually come to India. So for an example, I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but for an example, so in the UK we have Uber, right? And we have US, we have Uber that's now running big. Now in India they have Ola, right, which is basically the Uber equivalent, and they also have Uber there. But the beauty is that you see that Uber doesn't really work as well in India as Ola does. So if you look at the valuations in comparison, you can get Lyft at Uber, which is valued at huge crazy amounts, like $100 billion, and that is probably valued at a tenth of it. It's probably a good idea to get investment into that company, right? So for example, things like that. So you already know what the future is going, and obviously their market is their own household market, and that's good enough for them because it's a billion population. In the UK you have a population of 30 million. Over there you got $1 billion population. If you get 10% of the market, you got 100 million customers. So it's a lot bigger and wider scope in India than it would be elsewhere. So it's a good idea to go there and see the differences compared to Western countries, and then look for companies that are doing what is already accessible in Western countries. For example, a delivery service. So that could be something because it's not that wide stream yet, so the valuations are a lot cheaper. That's one. Second, the AI technology stuff. So you could see with China especially, there's stores or the takeouts that are literally computer driven. Whereas in India you don't have stuff like that. Or you have the street vendors that don't even use digital or online or banking kind of thing. Paytm is now obviously becoming big, but there's also other scopes for other companies like Paytm to make a lot of money. So there's so many ideas you could pick up and so many companies you could look at and think, wow, me being in a Western country has just given me an edge just by default. I don't even have to be a genius to know or have an edge over this market. And that will help me to make money into this country and make me huge substantial gains. Imagine being able to access Uber at the tenth of the valuation, right? You'll be laughing, right? So something like that. So that made me sort of really intrigued. And now looking at the the Indian markets in the sense like a Nifty, we've hit both the all-time highs in those indices. And rightly so, because there's huge growth in India going, but again, just because they're so far behind too, so for them to get that level of growth, they're still far behind the US or the UK. So that's beautiful, because you're getting that growth, and yet you're not getting to the growth, and you're not getting at the level yet, which is in the UK and the US. So yeah, it was just a fascinating trip, and anyone who wants to know more details, please comment below, and let me know what you guys think and where you guys want to see more videos about where you could generate alpha and big returns. And also another thing is I've got my Cash App in the description. Any donations will be very much appreciated. Obviously I've got this channel here still growing at the moment, but obviously it is costing me time and money. So any support and everything will be very much appreciated. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.